Science, with its pursuit of knowledge and discovery, is a journey marked by both groundbreaking successes and notable blunders. Throughout history, some scientific errors and missteps have had profound and often unintended consequences, reshaping our understanding of the world and sometimes even changing the course of history. From deliberate hoaxes to tragic miscalculations and ethical lapses, these mistakes offer valuable lessons in the importance of rigorous scrutiny, ethical responsibility, and the need for constant questioning and improvement. In this exploration, we delve into some of the most infamous and impactful mistakes made in the scientific realm. We'll uncover how these blunders occurred, the ripple effects they had, and with a touch of humor, reflect on the lighter side of these serious missteps. Whether it's the Piltdown Man hoax that baffled scientists for decades, the Challenger disaster that shocked the world, or the controversies surrounding vaccines and intelligent design, each story reveals not just errors, but also the resilience and determination of the scientific community to learn and evolve. So, buckle up as we embark on a journey through some of science's greatest mishaps, where the lessons learned are as important as the mistakes themselves. 10. The Piltdown Man hoax. In 1912, a fossil discovery in Piltdown, England, was hailed as the missing link between apes and humans. The Piltdown Man consisted of a human skull and an orangutan jawbone that had been deliberately combined. The hoax misled scientists for decades, only to be exposed as a fraud in the 1950s. The culprit behind the hoax remains unknown, but it was a major embarrassment for the scientific community. It's like someone tried to pull off the ultimate science April Fool's joke and forgot to take the prank off before the big reveal. Imagine scientists going, "Oops, looks like our caveman just needed braces." 9. The Challenger Space Shuttle Disaster, 1986. On January 28, 1986, NASA's Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 73 seconds after launch, killing all 7 crew members. The disaster was caused by the failure of an O-ring seal in the right solid rocket booster, which allowed hot gases to escape and cause an explosion. The engineers had warned that the O-rings were vulnerable to cold temperatures, but the warnings were ignored due to pressure to launch. It's like being told your car might explode if it's cold and then deciding, "Nah, let's drive to the North Pole anyway." Except in this case, it's a space shuttle.
Space Shuttle Challenger, liftoff from a freezing cold Florida to the cheers of the young students of the first ever U.S. teacher astronaut. Moments later, full throttle and point of highest stress. A massive explosion. The cheering stops. The horror sinks in. 7 Americans with the highest hopes, $1 billion worth of the highest technology, gone in seconds. The worst disaster in the U.S. space program ever.
8. Cold fusion announcement, 1989. In 1989, Martin Fleischmann and Stanley Pons announced they had achieved cold fusion, a form of nuclear fusion at room temperature. Their claim promised a new era of unlimited energy. However, the results were not reproducible, and further experiments failed to support their findings. The premature announcement led to a flurry of excitement and disappointment as the scientific community realized the claims were unfounded. It's like announcing you've discovered a new diet that lets you eat chocolate all day without gaining weight. Everyone gets excited until they realize it's just a fantasy. The only thing cold about this fusion was how quickly it fizzled out. 7. Lysenkoism in Soviet agriculture. In the 1930s, Soviet scientist Trofim Lysenko rejected modern genetics in favor of Lamarckian inheritance, which suggested that acquired traits could be passed to offspring. Lysenko's theories were politically favored by Stalin, leading to disastrous agricultural policies. His rejection of genuine scientific methods resulted in crop failures and widespread famine. Imagine if instead of using modern farming techniques, you were told to plant your crops in a circle and sing to them. That's pretty much what Lysenko's theories amounted to, just a whole lot of singing and no growing. 6. The thalidomide tragedy, 1950s to 1960s. Thalidomide, introduced in the 1950s, was used as a sedative and for morning sickness during pregnancy. It led to severe birth defects in thousands of children. The tragedy resulted from inadequate testing for the drug's impact on fetal development, leading to stronger regulations on drug testing. It's like buying a miracle product that turns out to be a dud, except the dud has lifelong consequences. Imagine if your cure for a bad hair day ended up giving you a whole new set of problems. 5. Nazi human experimentation. During World War II, Nazi scientists conducted horrific experiments on concentration camp prisoners, testing extreme conditions and various poisons. These experiments were unethical and inhumane, leading to severe suffering and death. The revelations about these experiments led to the development of the Nuremberg Code, which set ethical standards for human research. If there's one thing that's not funny about science, it's when people use it as a tool for cruelty. This is the ultimate example of how not to experiment, unless you're trying to win an award for most unethical scientist. 4. Operation Crossroads and nuclear testing, 1946. Operation Crossroads was a series of nuclear tests conducted at Bikini Atoll to study the effects of nuclear explosions on naval ships. The tests exposed thousands of U.S. military personnel and Pacific Islanders to harmful radiation, leading to health issues and environmental damage. Testing nuclear bombs to see what happens is like trying to find out if a cake will burn by setting the kitchen on fire. Spoiler alert, it's not a good idea, and everyone gets hurt. 3. The ether theory and ether wind experiments. In the 19th century, scientists believed in a substance called ether that supposedly filled space and carried light waves. The Michelson-Morley experiment in 1887 was designed to detect this ether wind, but found no evidence of it. This null result paved the way for Einstein's theory of relativity. It's like trying to find invisible glue that holds the universe together and then realizing it's just a bunch of hot air. The only thing that got stuck was the idea that space needed a sticky substance. 2. The MMR vaccine and autism myth. In 1998, Andrew Wakefield published a study linking the MMR vaccine to autism. The study was flawed, with undisclosed conflicts of interest, and was later retracted. Despite this, the misinformation led to decreased vaccination rates and outbreaks of preventable diseases. It's like someone saying they can predict the weather by reading tea leaves and then causing everyone to panic about rain on sunny days. The only thing that got sick was public trust in vaccines. 1. The intelligent design controversy. In the early 2000s, intelligent design (ID) was promoted as an alternative to evolution, claiming certain biological structures were too complex to have evolved naturally. The Kitzmiller versus Dover Area School District trial in 2005 ruled that ID was not science, but a form of creationism, leading to its exclusion from science curricula. It's like trying to argue that a car's design means it must have been made by aliens rather than engineers. Sure, the design is impressive, but that doesn't mean we need a UFO to explain it. These mistakes, while serious, remind us that science is an evolving field where even the best minds can stumble, and humor can often provide perspective on the missteps along the way.